Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Tell Me Everything. I am your host, Danielle Spinelli. Today, I have Sean on with us. He is with Expedited Freight. They specialize in auto hauling. Yeah, they're a broker that does auto hauling. Why is that hard for me to say? Anyways, he comes on. This guy is so cool. He is kind of the typical broker, which is what I love the most. And he'll shoot it to us straight and kind of go through all the things. So he goes through kind of like what he's experiencing right now as far as being a business owner, how to expand to the next level, what he's thinking, kind of how he is, and then kind of also getting into what the auto hauling scene is seeing as far as the network growth and fraud and cargo theft. And, I love all that stuff. So, anyways, it's a really cool episode to learn kind of about that side of the business. So, if you're not in that, it's a good way to kind of learn how to dip your toe in. He's a great guy. If you guys have any other suggestions on what we should cover, and if you guys have any guests to recommend, definitely let me know. We're always looking to expand our network here at Tell Me Everything. So let's jump in it. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, all that jazz, trying to get to the next level of subscribers. So help me out and let's jump in.
Tell me everything.
Tell me everything.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for coming on. Let's kind of start off and have you introduce yourself, kind of give a run through of, your history, what all you guys do as a company, and then we'll jump in all the things.
Sure, yeah. Sean Lorente. I own Expedited Freight, and it's a trucking subsidiary. Been in business for going on 15 years this year, I think. Started my fleet with 2 trucks, 2 trailers back in the day, hauling cars only, still haul cars only. I've moved a few pallets of things here and there and decided that wasn't for me. Cars is where it's at. Currently running all lower 48 states, and I think we're not really a heavy hitter. We're a little more of a boutique type service for large dealers, and to mid-size to large dealers. The smaller dealers we deal with exclusively in a almost like a hot shot type way. So
Okay.
if you've got 2 to 7 rooftops, we'll get whatever you buy there. Sometimes too quick. Sometimes they don't like it the way that we move it. So we tend to gear those guys in a different direction for the most part. But I will always accept new business. I just want to make sure that they're cool with how quick we do it. The average standard for us is from dispatch to delivery. I think we're number 1 in the country. According to One Load Board's statistics, is somewhere in the neighborhood of 32 hours, something like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
So
Especially
shipper
for
calls.
auto stuff, because usually they have multiple drops and they're all over the place and they take, usually a week plus a lot of times.
Yeah, we take a lot of the guesswork out of it. It's kind of one of those things where you can go the normal route, which is why I say boutique. You hear boutique, it sounds expensive. It's not. We're not any more expensive than anybody else. What it is that we're actually doing the job still. What's going on now is that they've, most of the larger brokers and trucking companies even have outsourced all of their on the phone work or data back-end stuff or updates or anything like that. They've kind of outsourced it to either AI or call center, right? And we don't have any of that. I'm not opposed to using AI. What it really is and why it's the way that it is for us is because I don't know how to use it.
That's perfect. I think 99% of the world does, and they are the same way, and they act like they do know all the things.
Yeah, I don't know shit. I don't know shit about AI, but I do know how to do the job. And so everybody that comes in fresh has to learn how to do it the way that I know how to do it, which I've obviously pushed down to all of my operations guys that are then teaching the managers and then teaching the guys that are teaching the guys coming in fresh.
Right.
But they all have to kind of learn it, a mixture of how, because we still have to, you got to remember, a lot of these guys that are still on the road today, a lot of these truckers, they're in their 60s now. Some of them are in their 70s, right? They're used to triple carbon copy BOLs. They're used to having to, keep extra change in their pocket in case whatever CB or whatever they were using at the Nextel was pretty big back in the day. Whatever radio they were using at the time goes down. They've got enough to call on a payphone, right? These guys don't want to use 15 different apps. They don't want to deal with that shit. So when you've got a brokerage and a trucking company that deals kind of in the old school way, but also mixes in a bit of technology, they kind of shine. Those old school guys make the new guys look terrible, which is kind of the same situation that we're in, which is why I could say we're boutique. Because when you call me, if you call my company, you're going to get a human being answer the phone. There's a human being on the voicemail. And then whenever somebody does get back to you, it's usually within 10 or 15 minutes. And then you're going to have whatever problem you've got solved within 5, because we
Right.
already know the answers. I don't have to take notes because it's not a call center and then send it over to the actual person that's dealing with it and wait for them to get back to the original person that wanted to know the answer to a question. You're
Yeah.
talking to a person that knows the answer to the question immediately.
Yeah, it's interesting because with AI, so a lot of times some organizations are doing that for after hours and holidays and stuff like that. And it's nice for the workers, right? Like they get time off and they don't have to work 24 hours a day. Because it's funny, I was just having a conversation with somebody, and I was talking about how like basically I never take vacation. Never have I ever. Even when I go on vacation, I have my phone. I'm emailing. I'm never like my putting it out of office on doesn't happen. And I was like, I
Yeah.
think that's just because I was a broker, and I remember in the middle of the night responding to emails and having to get woken up and check on a driver. And I mean, that's just part of the hustle, I feel like, right?
I forget that you were a broker. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
100% of the hustle. That's all of the hustle.
Yeah.
It's that in relationships. A lot of these, you lose the relationship factor too. Because I mean, I could call a guy right now that we might have talked 7 times in the last 4 years, but I've been with him since he's had 1 truck, 1 trailer. Now he's got 5. I could call him right now in the middle of this podcast and be like, "Hey, man, I got a clutch load that I need you to move in Des Moines. How close do you have a truck? I'll
Yeah.
make one close for you, man." Like, those are the relationships that you build over the course of time that you don't get when you've got a call center doing it. Because I'm not going to take it serious if a call center calls me asking me what feedback I've got for the company, or what went well, what didn't go well. I'm not going to take that serious. I don't even stick around for the survey at the end of the fucking call 90%. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Like,
Most
yeah,
people
stick
don't.
around for the 10 question survey. No, screw that. I don't care.
Yeah.
Nobody does. Nobody takes it serious. But when you actually build that relationship with either the carrier or the customer or both, you're the bridge there. And these guys, most of the time, the carriers, they don't want to deal with these guys over here. They
Right.
don't. They don't have time for it. These guys want their ass kissed 24/7, and I'm good with
Yes.
that. I get it.
Yeah, they do.
They need it. Like, they
Yeah.
got a lot of work to move. They don't have the time to deal with this guy.
Yeah.
So we are the bridge for that. We're the mix between a tie and a pair of overalls.
Yeah. And I think it's funny because a lot of brokers and stuff are getting into where it's super tech heavy, and then kind of forgetting, like, let's just say carrier vetting, for instance, just because that's my forte. They really depend heavily on tech to do everything, and not even having a conversation with somebody. It's all email. It's all these things, like everything, trying to make things automated. And then they wonder why they have issues. It's like you're getting paid to be that middleman. That's literally your job as a broker, what your definition is. So I think getting back to that, like, hey, this is what your job is. Yes, we're doing it on mass quantities, but there's a way to mitigate, your time and make it where you can still touch each load in some way, or have somebody touch the load in some way to make sure to keep that human interaction.
So it's funny that you say that, because I had one of our larger partners, probably the largest partner that we have, hit me up, and we had a meeting in Vegas a couple of weeks ago at Used Car Week. I'll meet with anybody anytime they want. They don't need a reason. I don't care. You want to meet
Yeah.
with me, I'll meet with you. But I didn't know what it was for. And I just showed up not knowing what we were going to be talking about. They started talking about AI. And the CEO was in there, right? These guys are, billionaires.
Yeah.
Billionaires, not billionaires. And I was like, immediately, I was like, fuck no, dude. Like, just like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, wait, I want you to hear it out. It might be something you could use. And I was like, there is no, unless you have a human being that's like going through all that, which is going to be us, it just doesn't make sense to use, man. It just doesn't, because I'm going to lose that touch. I'm going to lose that personal touch that makes this happen smooth, right?
Yeah.
So then he started explaining what it was. And I was like, okay, yeah, that kind of, it might work.
Right.
It might work, but some human being still has to be involved in that process. The problem isn't AI. The problem is when you use the AI and you take the human beings totally away. The problem's not AI. So the thing that he presented was actually a really fucking good idea. And
Yeah.
it's just somebody, the trick is implementing a system like that, where let's just say, for instance, or for example, that it's at any given moment, we've got between 300 and 700 loads out, depending on the time of year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So each one of those loads has between 3 and 9 cars on it, right? Each one of those cars might be 3 and 9 different customers.
Yeah.
So if you're getting an update for one load that has, say, 9 different customers on it, you've got to make 9 different calls or 9 different emails after that one phone call.
Right.
If there was a way to link the person to the update with AI, get the original update in AI, have the person either verify the update and then use AI to then let everybody else know,
Yeah.
it would save them. If you could make that a click, like one click, boom, it's done. AI
Yeah.
is groovy. It's awesome. We love it. We want it. But if it's, hey, we're going to get the update, AI is going to put the update in the computer, and whether or not you guys check it is on you. Of course, nobody's going to check it. Most of these employees are hourly, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not going to check it. I don't have any hourly employees. They're all salary. But I think that even is worse because they know they're going to get paid. They're not going
Yeah.
to do that.
No, especially if they think, especially like after using it for a while and not having any problems, you just kind of trust it and you move on. And that's kind of the same thing with like using a tech so heavily and not having any human interaction. It takes that one time of it slipping up where you're like, oh my God, I could have checked this and it would have prevented everything. So yeah, I
Absolutely.
think kind of like with Chat GPT, for instance, like I use it mainly for like hey, this is my idea, or I just typed up this email, rewrite it for me so it sounds more professional. Cause mine is like blah, 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 emoji, emoji. Like that's me. And so I use ChatGPT as like a help me put my ideas into like a format that makes sense to the rest of the world and not just compiled in my head. But that's where it was first started with me, and then it hits AI to kind of fix it up. So yeah, I'm on the same page as you, and I think a lot of people in the industry are like that. There's been a huge push towards AI just to automate everything. It's interesting because like CH or whatever, I know they have gone mainly like automating AI wise, like whenever like they have turnover with like a carrier sales rep, for instance, they're just replacing it with AI, not a body. And so it's interesting because it is working for them, or
Has
so they
to.
say. Yeah.
It has to. And I think that that's the next thing I realized is that once you get to a certain size and,
Yeah.
I would say gross revenue, but really gross revenue doesn't really dictate size. So like you could make 100 million a year and have 20 employees. Like the
Yeah.
brokerages are weird like that.
Totally.
Totally. I would say it's people. Once you have honestly probably more than 150, I'd say 100 people. Once you have more than 100, we're at 60 right now or something. 50 something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But once you hit 100, I could totally understand how you would need AI to. I could find employees, probably at least 3 right now. And I could fully delete with AI and save myself the $40,000 or $60,000 a year that I'm paying them.
Yeah.
Most of those employees are friends or family, so I'm not going to do that.
Right.
But I mean, there are places where it just makes sense. At a certain point, you have to take the human element away from some things, like load building. Like we'll get customers coming in. This is one of the perfect ways to get rid of people. Customer sends us an email with 100
forward it
loads.
on. Yeah.
Yeah. If you could just let an AI bot create and build all those loads for you with all the information that's in there, and then whatever boxes are empty, then a human being could go back and figure out what goes in those boxes versus the way that I'm doing it, where a human being is actually taking that email, interpreting it, or taking that Excel spread and building out the loads. Because honestly, just today we had 4 loads that weren't built from Tuesday because he skipped a couple lines. His eyes just didn't keep up, and it is what it is. But yeah, that would delete that problem. I think after a certain size, AI has to work for you because you just can't trust humans to do some of the stuff.
Well, that's why I think having AI as a human like assistant instead of having them have an assistant, you have basically them, that mindset of it. And those are the ones I think that will be most successful and the most implemented and used. Like if you're going to invest in AI and pay the money, the way to get adoption is to have it where, I don't want it to where like I'm feeding this AI agent all these things. Like maybe one day it would take over my job. Like I personally as an employee, I don't want that. But if I can say like, oh, this is my personal assistant and it helps me do all the things and I don't mess up and I don't human error something, fat finger something or whatever, yeah, the adoption rate would be a lot higher. So
I wish there was a way that I could use AI as a personal assistant, but I honestly believe, I really do believe what I'm about to say. I really do. So you can laugh all you want, but this is actually how I think. I think that the people that do best in what we do, transportation in general, have to have some undiagnosed form of ADD to survive.
Totally. Are you kidding? 1,000,000,000%. I couldn't agree with you more.
Has to be unmedicated. And
Yeah.
it has to be like you're just living on the edge all the
Oh
time.
yeah. Oh yeah. No,
I don't
that's so
think
funny you
AI
say
could
that.
keep up with the mess that is what I do you know what
The
I mean?
multitasking skills is ADHD, that's the only way I can operate. And it's funny because as I'm getting older, so my son has ADD. So just like learning more about him and him struggling in school. And I'm like, I never struggled in school, but he's ADD. I had ADHD. So I was like excelling. I could do like 5 subjects in one 1 hour, I could do all the things. And so I think you're absolutely right. And also on top of that, most people that came from being a waitress or bartender or car salesman or some sort of weird salesman type mentality, then they fall into being like a broker. Those are the ones that are like super successful because they have that like grind and hustle and grit and they're just like digging in. And so it's funny, most people that end up in logistics came from something like that. What did you do prior to being in logistics?
I was in the Army.
Okay. Well, that's a lot of hustle in there too. So you guys got to do a
Yeah,
lot.
it was
Yeah.
it was a different kind of hustle.
Yeah.
I didn't get yelled at so much for how much I cursed, that's for sure.
Right. That was normal.
Now I've got to watch it when I walk into these rooms and just like Barney style everything to make sure I don't get, hosed.
I
But
think
yeah, no, that's it. This is
that
the
was
only
my
thing
favorite.
I've ever
So
done
whenever, yeah, prior to me being in logistics, I worked for a telecom company and like a call center. I was in sales. And so you had to be super, super professional. They monitored all your calls and like you'd have to re-listen to your calls and get judged off of it. It was awful. After I left and I went to logistics and I went on like the, bullpen and the floor and everyone was like cussing at each other. I'm like, oh yeah, I've found my freaking industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how we all are, really. And so then sometimes we put on that professional hat and we mute ourselves with some things we want to say. But that's my favorite part about being a broker.
Agree to that. I think
Yeah.
there's something to be said about the only reason I'm even doing this on my own is because I had a job when I got out for working for Budweiser. And I held that job for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. It was a good job. I liked the people. It was hard work, obviously, unloading trucks and all that. And then I think I got capped out or whatever. I was making maybe $55,000 a year. And some guy came up to me asking me if I wanted to work for McDonald's. I thought he was joking. And I was like, yeah, man, fuck it. If you'll pay me more than this, I'll work for you. And he offered me like 80. And I was like, oh,
Oh,
fuck.
wow.
I went back to my boss, who I'd known for 5 years and like hung out with after work and stuff. We were friends. It's like, hey, man, this dude at Martin Brower offered me 80 grand. And he's like, shit, dude, you need to take that. So then I started delivering food for McDonald's. I did that for, 3 years or so. And it was awesome. I was working 4 days a week, making 80 grand a year, working nights. I was always on the road, but it wasn't terrible. It was good for what it was at the time. Well, having lived on like 40 for the majority of my life to that point, I didn't even realize it, but I had ended up over those 3 or 4 years saving like a shit ton of money because I just didn't spend anything. I didn't change anything. I just kept doing what I still do that. I haven't changed anything. Like one of these guitars that you see back there, I've had since I was 12.
Oh,
So
wow.
I just don't need shit. I just have things that I buy once and I never have to buy it again. So after a certain point, the market got better and our house was, I think I paid 140 for it at the time. It was now worth like 360.
Wow.
And when you've never been introduced to that kind of money before, it's like sitting in that house and knowing that you could just pull a couple $100,000 out of it. It just burns a hole in your fucking head.
Yeah.
And my ADD mind took over and was like, hey, you know what? We're fucking selling this bitch. And we sold it. I bought a couple of trucks and moved in with my mom. And the rest, as they say, is what it is.
Yeah. Hustle, hustle, hustle. I love it.
All day long. Yeah, I had no idea. I'd never hauled a car before I bought 2 car haulers. And I realized really, really quick, like the first car I moved, I got hooked up with a company called United Road. And the first car I moved the first load I moved was a load of Audis. I don't know what kind of Audi this one was that I was moving, but I had my setup and I was ready to go. I had practiced with my own shit before, but all of my shit was like, I had a pickup truck, a Bravado, which is like a Equinox, like larger stuff.
Yeah.
These lower to the ground cars I'd never done before. So the first car I loaded fell off the trailer.
No.
Yeah. They had car condoms on them back then, and I think they still do. Audi still does that. So when they ship them from overseas, they got this the only way that I can describe it is just a condom for a car.
Yeah.
You unzip the driver door and that's it. You can
Wow.
see through. It's clear plastic in the front, clear plastic in the back, but you can't see any of the car. So I got really lucky on that one because I was able to get it back on the trailer with a couple of fucking floor jacks and a little bit of grit.
Wow.
Yeah. But I learned really quick that there's some serious mistakes you can make hauling cars. And then I figured out why car haulers get paid so much more than, most everybody else. At least back then they did. Now it's kind of almost leveling out because of the amount of fraud that there is. But
Yeah.
back then they got paid significantly more than everybody else. Came to hauling cars and if you were any good at it, you were almost immediately successful. So it was because it's extremely niche. You've
Yeah.
got to know everything about every car, the size, where it fits, how fast it goes, the tires, can they roll on ice, can they not, how to roll and load in the snow, how to roll and load in the rain, weight distribution, not the way that a normal truck driver only has to worry about those rear axles when they're done being loaded. And if it's overloaded, they can move those rear axles to make it to where they're still legal.
Yeah.
Can't do that on a car hauler. You've got to know your load and how to load it before you start putting shit on, because once you put everything on, you take it to the scale and you're off, you got to unload the whole fucking thing and reload it.
Yeah, it's like Jenga, basically.
100%. It's like Tetris and
Or
Jenga
Tetris,
mixed.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I figured it out. I learned the hard way how to do this, and replaced a transmission on the side of the road once, replaced a bazillion different water pumps on every freaking kind of. I've decided that Freightliners were the only trucks I was going to buy after having replaced so many damn parts on other type of engines. So
Yeah.
a Detroit engine was that 60 series was the all sell for me. I had one of those that had like 1.4 million miles on it. Never had to touch it. I was like, I'm only going to buy those from now on. And then they just stopped fucking making them, or they started with the DEF bullshit. And I was like, all right, let's buy some old ones and rebuild them. So I bought like 6 old 60 series, rebuilt all of them, and just let them sit. And then whenever a DD13 would go bad, I would send it to the shop and have them take the DD13, the upgraded new age engine, the fuck out, and throw that fucking old ass rebuilt engine in. I guess. I mean, it was, but it kept me from having to worry about breakdowns. You can fix those on the side of the road a lot easier than you can fix all these newer ones. So our downtime was less, but we were, even if you are buying more parts for those kind of trucks, it's not more expensive, because the parts are cheaper. Like you're getting, it's the difference between having a 1972 Chevelle and a 2025 X5 BMW.
Right.
An alternator on a Chevelle is like probably $100. You can pick it up at any O'Reilly's anywhere in the country. You got to get yours from Germany on that Beamer.
Right.
And you got to spend $1,200 on it. And you got to wait 3 weeks for the shit to make it here.
Yeah. I have a BMW, and one of the, as soon as I bought it, they were like, or my grandpa, he is a mechanic, and he's like, that anytime you need anything, like I had a tire blow and I had to go to 5 different tire shops just to find one person to have the same tire that I needed. I'm like, come on. And then I kind of pay like $1 bajillion. I'm like, great.
My wife's got an X5. That's why I use that, because I told her, I'm like, it's a really cool car. It is.
Yeah.
But I can't do anything with it. Like I can't ever fix anything on it. And she's like, really? I'm like, dude, no, I wouldn't even try. Each one of the brakes is like independent. I don't even know how you do that.
I know.
That's like Chinese to me. I can't do that.
And the dealerships charge $1 bajillion. So I got to get my brakes done right now. So saving up just to do that. Yeah, it's fun. It's lots of fun.
Yeah, we've dealt with all the ups and downs, more downs than ups. But back to how I started the company. I don't really spend anything. We don't take a gigantic owner salary. I pay myself W-2 salary like everybody else. I think I have like 3 or 4 employees that make more than me.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about downturns nearly as much as everybody else. In COVID, we didn't worry about it at all. So I don't spend. I spend. It's kind of not a good thing, because at the end of the year, I owe a lot to Uncle Sam because I'm a dipshit and didn't spend any money. So that's the biggest downside to being,
frugal.
I say cost conscious, but really it's just I can't justify ways of wasting money. Like I don't need a bunch of crap. You know what it takes to run a brokerage? It takes people, right? It takes some computers, a couple of printers. I mean, it doesn't take much.
Right. Some people get, in software debt type thing and tech debt, and it's sometimes the biggest, shiniest thing that costs the most. They think it's the best, but it's not. A lot of times you can find tech that's very affordable that, isn't shiny and all that stuff that does the job just perfect. It doesn't cost you an arm or leg. And, if anything, does it better because they can focus on the tech and not making it look shiny. So it's interesting what's all out there, because as being in a tech provider and having partners, like I've been in most of the systems and demoed them, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. It looks cool, but as far as functionality, I don't think this is as good as this. And I know this is 1/10 of the cost. So it's interesting.
We've got a few things like that. I spend a lot of money on tech. I will say it's probably, outside of employees and payroll, that's probably our next biggest cost right there is tech. Like I'm spending a ridiculous amount on tech. And then this year, insurance went through the roof for us. I think a lot of that has to do with the way that some of these some of these larger clients that we have are kind of disconnected on what and how insurance actually affects trucking and what is covered and what isn't covered.
Right.
I think the D.H. Robinson lawsuit that's going on right now, or the case that they're hearing at the Supreme Court, is going to help identify that a little bit better.
Yeah.
But right now they are under the impression, and I've had to explain this to them 1,000 times, that everything falls back on us. It does, because I self-insure. Right? For some things, for some people, it's not in paper, it's not in writing. I'm not saying, hey, I'll cover anything that gets jacked up or anything that gets stolen or anything that gets total lost. But for the most part, within reason, if insurance fails and then contingency fails, I usually will step up. I mean, especially for the larger clients, because,
Yeah.
we
That's the
don't
way to
want to,
keep them.
yeah, we don't want
Yeah.
to piss them off, number one. And number two, I mean, the goal is to make money. And if essentially they're paying for it anyways.
Right.
So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it might take 10 years, it might take 5 years. I don't fucking know. But at the end of the day, their work will pay back what we spent. That's the goal. It's like, okay, yeah, don't worry about it. We'll cover that. How much was it? 150? Great. We'll cover it. Just make sure you keep us busy so that we can cover us. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the biggest thing that's hit us is tech costs, and insurance went up ridiculously high this year. Just ridiculous for contingency insurance, which is usually super cheap.
Right. And it's interesting because that's fraud. And so I know like the auto industry wasn't hit as hard as dry van and reefer freight here recently or whatever. And recently I feel like it's now hitting like a high, and they're going in. And I don't know if that's just because when you steal a car, it's actually grand theft, and that is a felony, where you steal $1 million worth of cargo freight. It's can be even a misdemeanor sometimes. So have you seen an uptick in that as well? And what are you guys doing, I guess, as far as with your drivers and, making sure that they're doing, what they're supposed to be doing? Because I don't know for sure. Is it more of the straight theft, like they just grab a car from somewhere and go off that way? Is that kind of what you guys are seeing the most? Or is it the strategic theft for the fraud and deception stuff?
So now we're going to go down the longest rabbit hole, right? When I first started doing this, there wasn't a whole lot of fraud. There just wasn't. People weren't concerned with it back then because it wasn't a thing that we had to worry about. Somewhere after the oil crash, when the oil crashed back in 2011, 2012, somewhere in that range, a lot of people started gravitating towards hauling cars.
Okay.
So then when it got oversaturated somewhere in the mid-teens, I'd say 15 or 16, it was extremely oversaturated with car haulers. The prices started to get really crazy low, which for guys that had started years and years before was fucking a pain in the ass, because you're really battling against people who don't understand their own books. It looks really big on the front end, but it's unsustainable over the course of a decade, which means that you don't have a business, you have a job that has a timeline on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
They just didn't understand that. And, somewhere in that whole mix of people just flooding into the auto hauling world, we started to attract a lot of people that were doing some shady shit. So yeah, I've seen, I wouldn't say I've seen it go down. I would say that we have seen it go down because of what we've done to prevent it.
Okay.
As far as getting cars stolen and how all that goes down, it's the usual culprits. There's two different ways that the fraud affects the stolen automotive part. That's not really where we're seeing the fraud, is car theft. You're seeing that in high end cars. So your $1,000 cars and above, or names that are shiny. Your Rolls Royces doesn't even have to be 150 grand. If it's a Rolls Royce and it's on the board, it's going to see some fraud. I can guarantee you every Lamborghini that hits the board has fraudsters looking at it to steal that car.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Those are the ones that are targeted fraud for theft. But for the most part, your theft is just coming from a lot of driver error and just the way that theft works. I mean, if people see a load of 9 cars park in front of their apartment complex every day because that's where the driver lives, at some point, somebody who's not a good person is going to realize that guy's leaving the keys in his car, and it's really easy to unload it if you have YouTube. You can just kind of figure out how to do all that shit. So that's where a lot of it. We had one stolen the other day, literally last week, that was in the parking lot at auction. And this is the second time at this auction that this has happened. It's a tow truck that comes in, steals the fucking car, and just you never see it again. We found the first one. That was a couple of years ago. We found that one about 2 years after it was stolen in Canada. This one obviously just got stolen, but we know we're never going to find it because it took us 2 years to find the other one in pieces in Canada.
Yeah.
So yeah, the fraud on that front is really specific to the higher end cars, which I'm not going to say we steer away from, but we do charge so much for them that you're almost, and I tell customers that call me and they're like, hey, will you move, 2 or 3 Lamborghinis from A to B for me? I'll tell them 99% of the time, because I'll take nobody else is allowed to take those calls but me.
Yeah.
I'll always say the same thing. I'll do it for you if you want me to do it, but I am going to be more expensive than X company, and I'll give them a company and tell them these guys are your guys. Like, I know what I'm good at and I know
Yeah.
what's safe for me to do. I'm not saying I can't do it. I can 100% do it. It's just that our rules are so fucking strict that it's going to cost me more than
Right.
these guys that I know can do it for you for, 50 cents a mile cheaper.
Yeah.
So
They roll the dice more than you do.
100%. Yeah, they
Yeah.
roll the dice more than us, but they also are backed by a lot more insurance. So you're covered a little bit better over there than you are with us, which we've got, I think, $1 million worth of cargo or whatever the fucking $1 million worth
Yeah.
of cargo. It's a lot, but it's not enough to where it's like I would hang my hat on. That's the other thing I've been trying to talk with Mike. I think Mike. I've been trying to get him to do something for us that can kind of mitigate that to where we can sell it to where the insurance actually is worth something. Because as we all know, insurance's job is to make sure that they don't fucking pay out. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
we're
interesting.
arguing to try and get it to work out in your favor. You did everything right.
Yeah.
And somehow, on a technicality, they will tell you to kick rocks.
Yep. Happens
And
so
legally
often.
they can.
Yeah.
The other issue is, double brokering. So we've had it happen to us 2 or 3 times. I haven't had it happen, knock on wood, in probably a year and a half, because we got even more strict with who we deal with and how we deal with them. But they'll take a load, obviously, and now it's gotten so crazy. Like, we vet hardcore. Like, I can get into the way we vet, but it's deep.
Yeah.
When we vet people, if they make it through and they're able to still double broker, it's almost like a pat on the back. It's like, dude, I caught one the other day where he actually had a trucking company. He had a DOT with a 2 at the front, which means he was in business for at least 7 or 8 years, right?
Yeah.
He also had a truck and a trailer that had insurance that was active for more than 2 years. Like, he was rolling on a truck and a trailer.
Yeah.
But he was really not. Like, that truck and trailer hadn't had an inspection in over a year, which was odd, but not unheard of. You know what I mean? So I let him ride, and he had turned out to be a fucking double broker. It turns out, the guy's grabbing up 100, 200 loads at a time with his one truck and trailer, and then going out and dispatching them out to X, Y, and Z. And most of the time, it goes off without a hitch.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're not doing it the way they used to. What they used to do is they would take your load that you're paying, say, $1,000 for, and then they'd put it on the board for $2,000.
Yeah.
Joe Trucking will legitimately pick it up from the double broker, deliver it for the $2,000, never get the $2,000. Then we get the invoice from double broker, and we send them the $1,000. Their win was the $1,000.
Yeah.
Now what they're doing instead is they're, putting together a bullshit company. Maybe they're buying a truck and trailer like the guy that I had just mentioned. Maybe they're not. But what they're doing is they're grabbing the load, right? And they are getting the load out for like $10, $15, $20, $100 cheaper. Like, they're basically brokering it and like actually running a business off of it. Like, they're running a real brokerage off of the brokered work that they took. So those guys are the ones that are, and they're sending it to these guys that aren't legit. They've got, what was the name of that company? I won't say the name of the company, but there was a company and he had one truck and one trailer. And then he had like 30 leased on trucks and trailers.
Wow.
And they were legitimate.
Right.
But they weren't. You know what I'm saying? Like, they followed all the rules and did everything you're supposed to do, but they were not legitimate. Like, that company had no safety manager. There was nobody overseeing anybody because everybody owned their own shit. Everyone was just kind of doing whatever the fuck they wanted. And if there's no oversight at all, you don't have a company. You just have a group of fucking guys. That's a gang.
Right. I know. It is interesting whenever when they operate as just a group of owner operators, because like you said, it's just basically do whatever you want to. There's no real accountability. So every driver's kind of does its own. It's similar to, like, not to throw Landstar under the bus, but like Landstar's broker agents, they run their own business just like it's their own business. So some broker agents are awesome over there and some are the worst. And so that's why Landstar's kind of gotten such a bad names because they just let them do whatever they want to because it's their book of business.
That's because they are running off of the idea that a capitalist mindset will always do what's right for the bottom line. And they're
Yeah.
right. But what's right for the bottom line isn't always right for insurance or legal,
Right.
especially in
Exactly.
trucking, because you can get away with a lot. I mean, hell, even me, when I first started, I had 4 logbooks in my truck, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I was not. I was on way too many 5-hour energies and Red Bulls and
Yep.
oh,
Back before ELDs and all that stuff. Yeah,
oh
for
yeah,
sure.
dude. I welcomed the ELDs when they came because I had drivers, and those drivers at that time were like trying to emulate what I was doing. And I had to tell them, I'm like, look, man, I can risk my ass because it's my ass. I don't want you risking your ass because I
Right.
can't take responsibility for the stupid shit you do. You need to follow the fucking rules. Once the ELDs came out, now they're stuck. Like now I can
Mm-hmm.
say, hey man, you went over, 30 minutes. What's the deal? He goes,
Yeah.
I was, within 20 miles of the house. And I'm like, all right, well, you didn't mark that. You just went over 30 minutes and called it a day. Like you
Yeah.
can't do that. You got to
Right.
take 36 hours off, bro. Now you're losing money. That's on you.
Yeah. It's interesting because when prior to ELDs coming up or coming out, I did postal work. And so it was all like expedited teams for anything over X amount of miles. I can't even remember all the things. But and I mean I had like these like just machine gun drivers. There's no way it was a team. And they were like running from like A to B and just doing loops of mail. And I'm like, I don't know what they're taking, but I know it's
Or,
one guy, but I'm just like, you do what you want to. They're making it okay. And
or
it's
as
funny,
long as they're not under CDL rules, there should be all right. I think.
they're telling me they're fine, and as a broker, that's all I need to know. But yeah, I really in the back of my head, I'm like, man, I hope these guys are okay.
I
But
just had a conversation with my operations director this morning, actually, and was asking me about trying to get some of these harder loads moved. He's like, we got to be able to limit, we got to be able to use the gray a little bit. And I was like, no, everybody else is doing that. We're not going
right,
to do. I can't do that. I'm not doing that. We're going to hold ground just the way it is. If it moves, it moves. If it doesn't, it needs more money. And that's just the conversation I've got to have.
right,
But yeah, there's a lot of guys are doing that. The bigger you get, the easier it is to get got.
exactly. And I think, and not having a relationship with your shipper enough to where you can have that conversation, like, hey, I either got like Shady McShade and this gets moved today, or you give me a day or two and I get the right type of person on it. And I think a lot of people are scared to have those conversations because people are, for some reason, are scared of confrontation, even though it's not really confrontation. But having that relationship is huge with shippers, and that's kind of what makes you successful and stand you apart. Even on the shipper side, they love hearing like you're being truthful with them. They love that.
Some of them do. The ones
Some
that
of
are
them,
there for some of them do. Some of them are on a weird, like, I mean, we are in the unfortunate situation to be arguing price with or negotiating price with guys that are not on the level. It
yeah,
is almost like the same as like going up against, well, you just can't really, there's no analogy that makes sense. It's if you're going to use whoever and anyone, whoever the hell wants the load, regardless of how they look on paper or whether or not their equipment is legitimate or whatever, you're going to get the load moved, sure, but you're going to be putting your customer at extreme liability where we're not going to do that.
yeah,
So if I'm going into a bid war or a price war with somebody like that, I have been letting them win over the last 8 months or so on purpose. Because I really do believe that at some point shit is going to hit the fan. I have been in these fucking trucks. I have made the mistakes. There's
yeah,
no way that the guys that, no offense to anybody that doesn't speak English, but the guys that don't speak English, there's no way that they're going to be able to manage the type of mistakes that need fixing in real time
mm-hmm,
and still stay legal. It's not possible. So at
right,
some point they're going to explode and things will level back off again. I like to think of it like everything kind of loops around in cycles. Like
totally,
when the oil and gas crashed, all these dudes flooded the car hauling industry. It hurt. It did. And I didn't think the way that I'm thinking now back then.
yeah,
Back then, I was like, sell everything. We need to get out of it. I can't make money doing this. And I tried, but I had too much equipment and there was too many people flooding the market.
yeah,
It was, when that happens, there's people going in and out of business all the time. So there's always equipment for sale. So I
yeah,
couldn't get what I needed out of my equipment. And I just kept on cruising and, did my thing. But it's happening again, but in a different way. Now, instead of a customer service and operations war, which we're looking for the best customer service, the best operational standards, the fastest time frames with the most proven track record. Now we're like really harping on the cheapest price. Like, we want the cheapest guy. Hey, sorry, Sean, we've been with you for X amount of years, but this guy said he'd come in $5 cheaper. If you can match that, we'd love to share the work between you and him. Nah, man, I'm not going to match that. I don't want to get into that, man. I don't want to do
Yeah.
that. What's going to end up happening is you're going to go back to him. He's going to go $5 less, and we're going to go $5 less. And then next thing you know, we're working for free. I don't want to. I don't. If I wanted a job, I'd apply. And
No, I think that's a good point. I think people forget the wave that we have, and the ones that can weather the storms and like save their nest egg for those type of things. Those are the ones that stand on top and keep growing. The ones just kind of fly by the seat of their pants. They usually close up shop, and we're seeing that a lot right now. So it'll be interesting if the market does really flip and does all the things that people say, like with the, dry van freight and stuff like that. It would be very interesting what happens in 2026, but we'll see.
I'm really nervous, honestly. I think we're at a really scary point in our business growth, in that we have to grow or we start to stagnate. And when you stagnate, you fall, right?
Yeah.
It only goes this way. Once you get here, this is a inevitable outcome. So
Right.
we're at that scary place where it's like, I'm really comfortable in how well we do what we do. Scary and exciting, because I really am more excited than scared.
Yeah.
But I think going now to push past this point where we are is like territory that I would have never imagined myself being in. Having to be in it is weird. Like, knowing that I'm, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
feeling like I'm the guy that has the answers is fucking weird. That's weird.
I know. Well, they say, like, even like when kids are little or whatever, you like regress or the growing pains and stuff like that. Like, it's kind of the same thing as business owners, I think, where you hit like a point where you're like, oh my God, I gotta do this, and like this is kind of scary, but you just jump and see what happens, and hopefully you have enough backing and knowledge and believe in yourself. And it takes a lot to be a business owner. So I salute what you do.
Well, we're at the point now where I'm like seriously considering. I'm thinking like, maybe there's no way that I'm the guy, right? There's got to be a guy out there who is the guy that I need to hire. I feel like that's where
Maybe.
I'm at. So maybe that's the
Interesting.
guy I'm still looking for. And I'm every conversation is an interview, in my opinion, an interview for something, an
Yeah.
interview for friendship, an interview for a job, an interview for whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But every conversation is an interview, and back and forth the same way back to the other person. Like, you got to make sure you're putting your actual self out there, so that when they call you in a year, nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't put a face on for anybody. It's always the same. Nothing ever is going to be different. You can call me 5 years from now. I'll still have the same response to the same question.
Yeah. I love that. Well, thanks so
But
much for coming on. I know took your time up today. It's a busy day. All the world is going to crazy because it's snowing, and nobody, like we were just talking about prior to recording, like nobody knows how to handle anything.
not in Texas anyway, man.
Not in
Nah, Texas is hurting.
I know.
They ain't doing well right now.
I know. Poor guys. Though it's hard too because they have so much space. It's like they just can't even. Yeah. Luckily, it's in the South, I guess. And they don't have to deal with this often.
Well, luckily, we haven't had, knock on wood again, haven't had any major catastrophes, which means everybody's staying safe and not jumping in the truck and trying to do ice road truckers, having never driven on the ice before. Like,
Yeah.
I've never. The first time I drove on ice, I got stuck on 610 coming over the Manchester exit, which is like over the bayou where the port is.
Yeah.
And I started like sliding back, and I intentionally
Lord.
jackknifed to catch the edge of the trailer onto the deal there. And this is how clueless everyone in Houston and Texas in general is to ice and snow and shit on the road.
Yeah.
The fire department came out. They brought a dirt truck. They were out there quick too, man. Like, they were out there within 30 minutes. And I'm salting everything behind. I had a bag of salt. I'm salting everything behind my drive wheels or whatever. And the fire truck guy pulls up on the freeway, and I'm on the entrance ramp trying to get on the freeway. He like pulls up, and he's like, "Hey, man." And I'm like, "Yeah, thank God you guys are here, man." And he's like, "Yeah, what do we do?"
Oh my
I was like,
God.
"What do you mean, what do we do, dude? You're here." I was like, "You don't have a dirt truck?" And he's like, "I can get one. Should I get a dirt truck?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, bro. What are you going to do? We're just going to hook up
Yeah.
to you and we both get stuck? No, go get a dirt truck." So he
Oh
went
my
and got it,
God.
called in a dirt truck. The dirt truck shows up, and he's like, "How do I get you out of this?" And I was like, "Bro, there's no way this is happening."
Oh my
said,
God.
You need to do like a big circle because you're in front of me and I don't need you in front of me. I need you behind me. So
Yeah.
just do a big circle, back up to my trailer and just dump dirt all behind it. Is if I can get up to like 4 miles an hour, I can get out of this and I'll be fine. I just need you to get me enough traction where I can get 4 or 5 miles an hour.
Yeah. Oh my
But
gosh.
no one knew what to do.
That's
No one
funny.
knew what to do. That's Texas. So yeah. Yeah,
I
thanks
think
for
that's
having me.
most of the South for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't doubt that. I think Atlanta, I honestly feel like Atlanta gets enough ice to where they know how to deal with it, but they'd still.
I don't know. It's pretty bad. I'm an hour northeast of Atlanta, and so I'm in like the foothills of the mountains. So yeah, basically we just all stay inside. We don't do anything. So
What's the temperature right now?
I think today is I think it's in the 40s, but tomorrow's supposed to get snow. So it's not bad right now. But yeah, it's still, I mean, I'm still complaining, but it's not bad.
I complain anything under 60. I'm in shorts until it hits 40.
Where are you based out of again?
We're based out of Tomball, Texas, but I live in Florida.
Oh, okay. What part of Florida?
You know where Boca Grande is?
Yes, that's a great
Do you?
area. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been there. Yeah, it's very fun. It's a fun, like, I don't know, hang out and go out to bars. They have good bars there.
That is Boca Raton.
Oh, okay, well, dang. I
You're
don't know
thinking
where
on
you
the
are.
East Coast. You're thinking near Miami.
Yeah, I am thinking near Miami. They
Yeah,
have great
no.
bars there, by the way.
Same exact spot geographically, but on the other fucking side.
Gotcha.
On
Okay.
the West Coast, where there's better fishing.
Yeah, there's better fishing up there. Well, cool. Well, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. How can all the people reach you if they want to reach you and learn more from you or whatever people want to reach you for? How can they do that?
Yeah, just hit me up on LinkedIn or hit me up on the website. That phone number that's on the website, you can get through to me. You just have to ask for it.
Love it. Awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
hit me up
thanks
on
so much.
LinkedIn, Sean Lorente. Appreciate you, man. Holler at me if you need me.
Okay, will do. Thanks.
Bye.